Next up, we're going to go up to Lake Crowley up in the Eastern Sierra, and our guy up there is Jason Christian. He is Wildfly Anglers, and he's our connection on Lake Crowley. How you doing, Jason?
Doing very well today, Rick. Thanks for having me again. I always appreciate it.
Perfect. That's great. Great to have you here and your expertise up in that area. So kind of give us a little broad just picture of what's going on up there in Crowley.
So since last time we spoke, we definitely had a slow period of fishing on the lake. Things got pretty tough. We had consistent days with no wind, no rain, nothing of that sort. So it was real hot, real stagnant, which really just promotes a very strong algae bloom, which I think we talked about a little bit last time. We were fishing really deep, 35 feet, which is definitely kind of the max of where you want to go. I think some people probably stretch it a little further than that. But overall, we managed to keep people on fish for a pretty good period of time. We held out, we were successful, and then we definitely took a break. I took 8 days off of the lake with just some really warm days forecasted. Surface temps were reaching upwards of 73 degrees. Fish were on the bottom. Big algae bloom. We didn't see much in the way of any midge activity. Like the hatches just kind of were non-existent. So I don't feel good about taking people out on the water for an experience which isn't positive for the trout or for them. So, I opted to do some other things that week and catch up on other work. Since then, though, things have started to turn around within the last, really like this last 5 or 6 days. And we've been seeing some good fish in the shallows, like anywhere from really about 6 to 15 feet of water. And they are keying in pretty heavily right now on damsels and perch fry, some calabatus, depending on water clarity. The midges are still, it's been really light on the midge hatches lately. So it's just a different time. It's a different cycle of the lake. We've got some good fishing. And for me, it's actually pretty stimulating. I like it because it's a little more technical. You're working for your bites, you're moving, fishing weed lines, fishing small pockets, small clean pockets. So there's definitely good fishing to be had out there. I think people need to just really remember that it's important to get out as early as possible right now and pay attention to surface temps, pay attention to how you're handling fish. We are not picking fish up for photos right now. The most they're coming out of the water is an inch or two, and we're taking shots in the net, and we're doing it all extremely quick. We're fishing heavy tippet, even in the shallows, so we can land the fish quickly, not stress them out, and just keeping them wet and letting them go back down. So
interesting. So yeah, it seems like, would you feel like, Jason, that we're sort of in just kind of the dog days of summer, and this is where we're, a typical kind of Crowley heat, and then, it starts to kind of taper off, and then looking forward to the fall? Or do you feel like we're kind of in that transition area where it feels like to me, like, we've got these weather systems and so on, things kind of cool down for a bit, but it could just turn back again and kind of be hot throughout the rest of the summer. Is that what your take on this is? Absolutely.
I mean, August all the way really through, even first and second week of September can still be really warm here. So yeah, it's good that you brought up the weather patterns we've been having. It's been very beneficial to the lake, to all the fisheries. Like I live right here on Hilton Creek. I've seen the creek come up a couple of times with some heavy rains in the mountains, and we've got some real good forecasts the next couple of days. Like it shuts the fishing down, but it's so beneficial to kind of refresh everything. So right now we're loving the weather patterns. It's been good. The cloud cover gives us a break. We can stay out on the lake a little bit longer or out on the streams. But we've been very conscious about water temps lately. And yes, it's definitely the dog days of summer. And I imagine we'll get some weeks where they come back, and it's going to be really hot. So yeah, I mean, I'm telling people right now, like emphasis is, do some different stuff, partake in fishing, but like, let's, promote the high country, get out, be active, hike, get to cooler waters, be conscious of the areas you're spending time. If you are going to fish in the valley, do it really early, use a thermometer. When water temps are between 65 and 68, that's when you should be cutting it off. If you're fishing above 68 degrees, those trout are dying. They may look like they're swimming off, but they're not able to get oxygen back in their system, and they're going to die. So I personally, if I'm fishing any moving water, I cut it off at about 65, 66 degrees. And yeah, a lot of emphasis just on the fall season. We're hoping that water levels stay good on the lake. we'll be out there catching fish this fall, and you can already feel it. The last 2 mornings we've had just a cooler morning, and with the cloud cover, and it's like kind of feels like we're already starting to feel a little touch of that. So
it's interesting how, you know, we kind of play to what the weather is and the season is, right? So you know, I guess what your kind of the emphasis is even though we have this little reprieve, probably going to still be in it until, you know, mid-September or later, but and that's the time to hit maybe this high country, hit some of those creeks up there up in the cooler temperatures, but then could get exciting there in the fall. So when you start seeing that, those kinds of things, are you looking at different tactics and things like that? If we're now sort of, let's look out a little bit into the future, into that very early fall, in that early area there, what kind of things are you tactically and strategically doing there on the lake, maybe in that kind, if we're anticipating?
You know, between now and then, it's still going to be like the perch fry bite really just kind of got going. So there's, like I said, there's still some good fishing to be had with that. That's kind of going to be the focus over the next several weeks. Moving into the fall, you get a little combination of both, but we'll start fishing a lot more structure ledges. As soon as the water temperature drops, the fish will move up in the water column, and they'll move up on the weed lines and on the structure. So we'll start fishing, you know, 13, 18 feet of water, really close to shore. Like some of the steeper shorelines in the North Arm can be really productive, and hopefully we'll see fish move up into the North Arm. That's kind of our typical pattern in the fall. You know, the fish kind of start cycling up that direction in the lake, and it can be really productive. That's when we're kind of hunting more for those bigger fish, you know, like they sense the change in the weather, they're putting on pounds, they've been eating good all summer, and, you know, browns are fall spawning fish, so they get really colored up, and that's when we just get those really awesome brown trout in the fall. So it's super fun for people to get out and see those fish and hold them and take some photos. So I myself am, you know, kind of planned for this slower period, and am leaving and heading to Alaska for 3 weeks of guiding up there, just, you know, in anticipation of having warmer days. So I think people should keep that in mind when, you know, planning trips in the future. Things are changing. You know, we haven't had the snowpacks that we are used to, and, you know, things are warmer, and, you know, we have to adjust. And I think, you know, education is key, and it starts at the top, you know, really with Fish and Game and implementing maybe some new regulations. You know, a lot of guides are talking about that. If you go to other states, people, you know, are used to having closures for certain months of the year, or slot times where they can fish in the morning and then it's cut off. So, you know, here in California, they're not really regulating that stuff. And I think it's important just for people to keep in mind that, you know, fish are fragile, trout are fragile. And, you know, if we love this sport and we respect it, then we should absolutely be educating ourselves and, you know, and practicing, you know, safe catch and release practices. So.
Sounds good. So, you know, I mean, just like anything else, there are time frames where things are really good, and we had a great spring. We had everything was cooking, and then, yeah, I mean, we're in the period right now where it's pretty tough, especially in the valley, those kinds of water. So, it's good to have that kind of you know, understanding from somebody who knows it. But on the other hand, if we're, you know, looking ahead, and not very far ahead, we're only talking a couple months here. Sounds like we could have some fun stuff here coming up in the fall, and you know, whereas those temperatures drop and then things kind of kick back in again, sounds like some good stuff and some good advice. Jason, how can somebody get a hold of you? So let's say, hey, you know, this is maybe right now is not the time, but I'm, you know, looking at a September, October kind of time frame. How do they get a hold of you so that they can kind of experience that, what you're talking about there on Crowley?
Best way to get a hold of me is through my website. You can submit a contact form, and that'll provide me with all your information. You know, leave a message in there about your group size, your interests, best way to contact you. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have my good friend and guide, Sam Basley, running my business. He's going to be taking trips in my absence, and he'll be accepting bookings for my return, which will be after the 25th of August. So I've already got some trips lined up there, but he'll be checking my voicemails. He'll be looking at the form submissions online. So that's the best way to get in touch right now. And if you do want to come up, like I said, there is good fishing to be had between now and then, and we're staying on it and being conscious. We're very honest with our fish reports. If we don't think you should be out on the lake and that you're going to get value out of your trip, we're not going to promote that. We're going to be honest with you. So if you're interested in a trip in the meantime, please don't hesitate to contact Wildfly Anglers. And Sam is a really good guy. I trust him completely, and he's a great guide and great friend, and he'll take good care of you in my absence. So after that, I'm back on the 24th and looking forward to a good fall season. Like you said, it's only really a couple weeks away. By the end of August, first week of September, we're going to be right back into a good cycle. Cool evenings, cool mornings. Everything's going to start lining back up. So
yeah, these kinds of things, you're like, oh man, this is kind of a drag, but I mean, really, we're not talking long, and things get pretty fun again.
Right.
And we could have a really kind of fun fall here for people who want to get out there. And if you do, and you want to get on Lake Crowley, Jason Christian is our guy. Wildfly Anglers is his company. And he had talked about how to get a hold of him. I'll put that link in the post here. And we appreciate his report and his expertise up there. And if you want to know, there's a lot of technical stuff that goes on in terms of season, temperature, and all those kinds of things, as he talked about. And if you want to know some more of that, get in contact with him. I'm sure he'll be able to share that kind of information so that you can have more success out there. And if you want to, like I said, there'll be the link on the post, but also you can just get a hold of us, and we'll put you in touch with Jason and his crew up there at Wildfly Anglers. And we'll see you right here next time on the Backcast.